Hello and welcome to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, your weekly dose of the top pro-life news and issues, all from a Catholic perspective. I'm Catherine Hadro in our Washington, D.C. studio. Thanks for joining us. In this week's show, what's at stake with the upcoming abortion referendum in Ireland? Hear from a top Catholic Irish pro-life activist. We give you an update on Alfie Evans' fight for life in the UK and what one member of the European Parliament is saying. And this.
My body, my choice doesn't hold up because there's another body in your body, and that's not your choice.
Top model turned Catholic speaker Leah Darrow tells us why true respect for the body will help create a culture of life. But first, our top story. A new medical study finds abortion pill reversals have a nearly 70% success rate. The study, released in a peer-reviewed medical journal, Issues in Law and Medicine, last week examined 261 successful mifepristone abortion reversals. An abortion reversal is specifically for the abortion pill procedure, or a medical abortion. It's when a pregnant woman takes 2 different pills in the first trimester to end the life of the baby. But if a woman changes her mind after taking the first pill, mifepristone, she can reverse the effects of the abortion pill by getting progesterone. According to the new study, the success rate is 68% for the high-dose oral progesterone protocol and 64% with the injected progesterone protocol. It also found that there was no increased risk of birth defects or preterm births when getting the progesterone abortion reversal. To talk with a hotline nurse about an abortion reversal, you can call 1-877-558-0333 or find more information online by going to abortionpillreversal.com. And joining us now from Roseville, California, just outside Sacramento, is Rebecca Buell-Hagen, a woman who had a successful abortion pill reversal. Rebecca, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Can you share a bit of your story with us? How did you find yourself in a position where you chose abortion in the first place?
Sure, yeah. So I actually had my first child when I was 17 years old. Chose life for that baby. I graduated high school early. I started attending college. And so things were going really well in my life. A lot of times when you're a teen mom, you don't hear a lot of hopeful, encouraging things, but things were good and things were looking up. But the relationship that I was in was awful. It became extremely violent, and there were just layers of issues going on. And right about the time that I decided to leave with my almost 1-year-old son, I found out I was pregnant for the second time. I was living in my parents' home, a college freshman, a single mom, and a month away from being 19 years old. And so with all of that weighing on me, I just decided, really without consulting anybody or without spending time in prayer, that I would have an abortion, and specifically a medication abortion, so that I could hide it.
So you moved forward with this medication abortion. You took the first pill, mifepristone, and then what? What happened?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So I took the first RU46 abortion pill, also known as mifepristone, and as soon as I took it at Planned Parenthood, I walked out to my car and I sat down, and it's almost like I was acting out of that fight or flight mentality. And then as soon as it was over, I just thought, oh no, what did I just do? And I started thinking about the baby that I had at home that I loved so much, and how I could love this baby, and how maybe, just maybe I could make this work. I started thinking about what the pill was doing to my baby at that time, if my baby had already passed. And I felt just intense grief and remorse and sadness. And I wanted so badly to have this baby and to have a second chance. And so I turned to my phone and typed in, I took the first abortion pill and changed my mind. And back in 2013, there wasn't a whole lot that came up, but there were a few girls that had asked the same question. And unfortunately, the answers they were getting were not hopeful. It was very much, you have to finish what you started. And thankfully, I found abortionpillreversal.com. I was connected with a nurse who found a doctor, and I drove to him maybe 16 hours after taking the abortion pill. He was not close to my home, but he was the only doctor willing to take me. And we started progesterone injections for several weeks to counteract the abortion pill that I took.
And I understand you have someone special with you that you'd like us to meet.
I do. I sure do. Let me grab him. Hey, Zach, can you come here, babe?
Oh, my goodness.
Come here. Can you stand up? Come here. Come stand up. Want to sit on my lap? Can you say hello?
Oh, my goodness.
Camera.
This is your baby's a little boy now.
Yes, he will be 5 this year. This is Zachariah, my miracle baby.
Incredible. And what is life like with Zachariah in it?
Zachariah, life with Zachariah is fun. He loves the Incredible Hulk, right? And he loves Bruno Mars. He is so funny and so witty and just the best little brother and a complete joy. I'm so glad he's here.
Oh my gosh, well, God bless you and your family, and thank you for sharing your witness with us, Rebecca Buell-Hagen. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
To continue this conversation on the abortion pill reversal, we are joined now by Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony List. Marjorie, thanks for being here.
Hello, Catherine.
It's good to see you.
Great to see you.
What an incredible story from Rebecca.
Just beautiful and really so new on the scene. This whole issue, sadly on the scene, necessitated by the fact that 30% or so of women are having abortions at home, alone, with no care or concern by others around it.
And yet, you'll see abortion advocates call this junk science.
Yeah.
So, do you think this new study on the abortion pill reversal addresses that criticism?
Yes, it does. It's a peer-reviewed study. It's groundbreaking. It should be getting front-page news everywhere. I don't know that that will happen.
It's incredible that in the U.S., 30 to 40% of abortions are these mifepristone chemical abortions. Why is it so important that we address this and share information about the abortion pill reversal?
This is a revolution in the abortion movement. They're moving abortions out of the clinic into the privacy of people's homes, which sounds like a great thing if you think abortion is okay. But it's of course not okay at all, because there's an unborn child that is waiting to live. Right. There's also a woman in distress and difficulty. By definition, if she's doing this, she is in a bad place in her life. And so she's there without any medical supervision, alone, no care. And it preys once again on the misery of women in a really tough place, in a really vicious way.
And again, anyone can find out more information by going to abortionpillreversal.com. That's very important to know. Marjorie, there's another story I'd like to get your reaction to right now. One congressman is taking action to strip Planned Parenthood from some of its federal funding. Representative Ron Estes from Kansas is calling for new rules to stop Title X family planning program funding for groups like Planned Parenthood who refer or co-locate abortions. The Title X family planning program is Planned Parenthood's second largest federal source of funding. Marjorie, what exactly is Congressman Estes calling for here?
He is calling for any organization, any facility that receives Title X family planning funds to that they cannot co-locate abortion facilities at their family planning clinic, and they also can't refer for abortions. So they can't touch abortion at all, can't provide, can't refer, can't have it co-located, and that would be returning the policy back to the Reagan administration policies, which is where this originated in the beginning. Bush did not enact these in his presidency. Now it's time to get it right, especially because we are way, way ahead of where we were then on understanding about who Planned Parenthood is.
And yet Title X funding is not allowed to be used for abortion. So how is this happening? How is this still a concern with Planned Parenthood here?
Well, because everyone knows that money is fungible, and that when these Title X Planned Parenthood, largely it's Planned Parenthood clinics, receive this money, they can use it wherever they want. It pays for the overhead of the entire abortion process. And so, you know, we're paying for the people who work there, we're paying for the bricks and mortar, we're paying for the scalpels, we're paying for all the implements. Aside from the specific moment of the abortion. We can't be culpable in that way.
Those are taxpayer dollars,
Amen.
too. Marjorie Dannenfelser of the Susan B. Anthony List, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, everyone, for this week's call to action, we are going to tell you a way we can strip Planned Parenthood from a major source of its federal funding. Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider, receives taxpayer dollars from dozens of federal grant programs. Their second largest federal source of funding is the Title X Family Planning Program. Now, Representative Ron Estes of Kansas is calling for new rules to stop funding for organizations like Planned Parenthood, who refer for abortion or co-locate abortion centers in their taxpayer-funded Title X locations. So, pro-lifers, for this week's call to action, here is what we're asking you to do. Go to your internet browser and type in this web address, prolifeweekly.com. Again, that is prolifeweekly.com. Here, by filling in your personal information, you can tell your member of Congress to turn off the second largest taxpayer funding stream for Planned Parenthood. Representative Estes is calling for new rules to stop funding for groups like Planned Parenthood, who refer for abortion or co-locate abortion centers in their taxpayer Title X locations. These policies were previously put into place by President Ronald Reagan and then rescinded by President Bill Clinton. It is time for the Trump administration to return to the Reagan policy and remove abortion centers from the Title X program. Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider, should not be getting hard-earned taxpayer dollars. We need to encourage our members of Congress to support the Reagan Title X regulations. Tell your member of Congress to turn off the second largest taxpayer funding stream for Planned Parenthood. Go to prolifeweekly.com. Again, send this pro-life message by going to prolifeweekly.com so abortion centers don't receive Title X program funding. We go now to pro-life headlines from around the globe. Speaking to Catholic bishops in Paris this week, French President Emmanuel Macron encouraged the religious leaders to make their concerns known ahead of a proposal to change the nation's laws on assisted reproduction and euthanasia. France is considering legalizing euthanasia and making single women and same-sex female couples eligible for assisted reproduction. In Peru, more than 160,000 people marched to defend life and the family this past weekend. The Archbishop of Arequipa addressed the 12th annual Corso por la Vida y la Familia, highlighting the great participation. He also said Peruvian laws must protect the family and life. And we continue to monitor the pro-life situation in Ireland. The Emerald Isle will vote on May 25th on whether or not to lift the nation's 8th Amendment, which guarantees the right of life to both the mother and the child. Prominent Irish businessman and pro-life activist Declan Ganley tells EWTN Pro-Life Weekly why the referendum is crucial.
It is to make a human individual a non-person. And that is a terrible message to send to the rest of the world.
We will have our complete interview with Ganley next week. Staying on the international front, we continue to monitor the case surrounding British toddler Alfie Evans. The 23-month boy has been in continuous hospitalization for nearly a year and a half due to an unknown neurological degenerative condition. Alfie's parents say he is growing stronger, noting he can take breaths on his own with stretching, coughing, swallowing, and yawning. The parents have been posting video evidence, but Alder Hey Children's Hospital in Liverpool is requesting court permission to remove Alfie's life support. Pope Francis is getting involved, now tweeting a message last week which said in part, "It is my sincere hope that everything necessary may be done in order to continue compassionately accompanying little Alfie Evans." We are joined now by Stephen Woolfe, an independent member of the European Parliament for Northwest England. He joins us from Winchester. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You just saw Alfie Evans last week. Tell us, how is he doing?
Well, he's a wonderful little baby boy. He was buoyant. When I looked at him, he was full of colour in his face and his fingers. His family were all around him. When his uncle came into the room and started talking to him and Alfie, there was reactions in his face. He opened his eyes. He was blinking. His father moved stretching movements. To me, this was a little boy that was fervently alive, not what the hospitals are trying to say, that someone has brain damage so out of control that they have to kill him.
And you had a meeting with Alfie's father and with hospital officials. What was the conclusion of that meeting, and have there been any updates?
Yes. When I met with the hospital, their meeting was solely about how they could end the life of Alfie. They were talking about 24, 48 hours, or even giving slightly longer to allow the family some time to work with them. Alfie's parents, Tom, had been videotaping Alfie. They've been showing the change in Alfie's condition, particularly on the withdrawal of some of the drugs that he'd had. And they were asking the hospital to renew and review that evidence for him. Secondly, we'd also said that we'd got an extra air ambulance, one that this time would satisfy the hospital's conditions because they rejected the first air ambulance. And we now had potentially 2 hospitals, one in Rome and one in Milan, that was willing to treat them. And so we said, couldn't you just review this evidence, allow us the opportunity to present to you a chance to save Alfie's life somewhere else? And our view was that when we left that meeting, they said that they would hold another meeting of their own and said that they were going to now make sure that Alfie's life would end.
And you went ahead and you sent a letter to the CEO of the hospital, Alder Hay. Have you gotten a response back?
No, I haven't had a response back for that. So far, I've written to the Prime Minister of England. I've written to the Health Secretary, Jeremy Hunt. I've written to the Chief Executive of the hospital twice. Once we had a very bland response, and now we've had this no response to our letter of yesterday. And we also wrote to the head of the NHS of England.
Also in your letter, you mentioned Pope Francis has intervened to help. I know he tweeted a few days ago. What more can you tell us about the Holy Father's specific role here?
Well, I had conversations with fellow members of the European Parliament from the 5-Star Movement. And as your audience may well be aware, the 5-Star Movement just won the election in Italy and are trying to form the government. Many of those people are committed Catholics who have tried to help in the Charlie Gard case that happened last year. And I believe it's through their contacts they went down and were able to inform the Holy Father that this is a case that he must get involved with. And so far, to my great sadness, the Bishop of Liverpool has not really stepped up to help, despite those tweets and the support of the Holy Father himself.
And you are Catholic yourself. Would you say your faith is the reason you've gotten involved in the Alfie Evans case?
Without a doubt. This has made sure that I believe that I should be supporting this family. This family is also Catholic. And they have a right to life of their child. They have a right to ensure that they do all they can to try and save this child's life. And that, I believe, is fundamentally part of our religion. We do not have the right to kill anybody. We do not have our choice to act as though we're God.
Stephen Woolfe, an independent member of the European Parliament, thank you for your time.
And thank you for bringing this very important case to the people of America.
When we come back.
Beauty is not owned by Chanel. It is not owned by Dolce & Gabbana. It is a piece of God.
How has the beauty industry warped our perception of the body? Top model turned Catholic speaker Leah Darrow tells us more. Stay tuned as EWTN Pro-Life Weekly continues after this break. Mary said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your word." Then the angel departed from her. This week, as we celebrate the solemnity of the Annunciation, we remember our Holy Mother's fiat, her yes to life, as our Lord and Savior was made flesh. Welcome back to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. I'm Catherine Hadro. A comedian turned commentator broadcast an attack piece against pro-life pregnancy care centers on HBO. That's this week's Speak Out segment.
What is happening with CPCs is that way too often, women with unplanned pregnancies are being actively misled while trying to access healthcare.
That's John Oliver, the host of HBO's Last Week Tonight, and part of a 21-minute attack piece against the good work of pro-life pregnancy care centers. It was a segment loaded with profanity and vulgarity in which Oliver accused crisis pregnancy centers of deceiving women about their life-affirming mission because they use words like choice and options in their titles. The British comedian also spoke lies like this.
Many of these CPCs are about much more than just abortion. They're about controlling women's sexual behavior.
Oliver joked pro-lifers should actually love contraception and pass it out like candy to trick-or-treaters. And in trying to prove pro-life pregnancy care centers are easy to open, Oliver told viewers he filed paperwork to open a nonprofit he called Our Lady of Choosing Choice. From Oliver's offensive use of Our Lady's name to the cherry-picked and misleading information he shared, there's so much to address here. But what John Oliver also conveniently left out of his narrative was the story of lives saved and women in crisis who were actually helped at these centers. John Oliver wants to talk deceit? Okay, what about abortion centers? Planned Parenthood has the word parenthood, but does the company actually help mothers who choose life for their child? No. Take a look at this live action investigation, for example, when pregnant women called Planned Parenthood clinics to ask about their options.
And I was just asking what kind of services you offer for pregnant women.
Pregnant women?
Yes.
Pregnant women who want to continue with the pregnancy?
Yes.
We don't offer services.
Pro-life pregnancy care centers exist because abortion clinics fail pregnant women in crisis and fail the child. John Oliver, shame on you for your inaccurate portrayal of crisis pregnancy centers, centers that are doing good work helping mothers. It's always a shame to see men actively promoting abortion and contraception. We need men to step up and be there for women so they are not left abandoned in crisis in the first place. As always, we want to remind you there's a way to counter today's culture of death and attacks on life by following this week's call to action. Go to prolifeweekly.com and encourage your member of Congress to support the Reagan Title X regulations so abortion centers don't receive Title X program funding. Leah Darrow first gained attention when she competed on the reality TV show America's Next Top Model. But while working in the modeling industry, Darrow had a radical reversion to the Catholic faith. She now speaks and writes about chastity, modesty, and true empowerment for women. I had the chance to sit down with Leah Darrow last week at a conference tackling sexual exploitation. Darrow is now a wife and mother. She's 8 months pregnant with her 4th child, and she's also author of a new book, The Other Side of Beauty. In part 1 of our interview, Darrow and I discuss how the way we view our body has been warped in our society and contributes to the culture of death. Leah Darrow, thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely.
We're here at a conference all about ending sexual exploitation. There's widespread pornography addiction, sexual assault pervaded into our culture. How did we get here?
How do we get here? Well, Humanae Vitae speaks a lot to that. We've reduced the human person to parts. That's happened over a very long time. This whole idea of sexual liberation does not liberate women at all. It does not help our culture at all. We've been reduced to parts, women in particular. We don't really know who we are. And when you don't know who you are, then you don't know how to act. We've forgotten like the basic sense of human dignity, that our dignity is rooted in our creation, in the image and likeness of God. And when you break apart that, when you forget that, when you have some type of spiritual amnesia, then the actions that flow out of the human person become disordered as well.
You and I have both only lived in a post-Roe v. Wade world where women are encouraged to say, my body, my choice. But how does that affect the way we as women view our bodies?
Right. Well, I think number one, it pits women against women too. It's my body, my choice. And so we want to completely sever the connection with the sexual act, with procreation, with the fact that like it actually could produce another person. My body, my choice doesn't hold up because there's another body in your body. And that's not your choice. And the choice that you made with your body, with another body, can produce another body. There's a lot of bodies there. But there's that idea. It doesn't hold up. There's no proof that that is liberating women. There's no proof that actually helps women. And we see time and time again all the problems in our culture come back to this place of really forgetting once again who we are, what we've been made for, and how to act the way that we've been created.
Pope Paul VI really did foresee this coming, didn't he, as you mentioned?
Absolutely.
Leah, you have modeled in the fashion industry, and often when we think of fashion, we automatically think of beauty. But as you write in your new book, The Other Side of Beauty, there is an ugly side to that. In your opinion, how does the beauty industry warp the way we view our bodies?
Well, I think you absolutely hit on right there. It does exactly that. It warps. And so the beauty industry, we think that it's our friend because it's the beauty industry. And
it makes us look good.
And we want to be beautiful.
Right.
Okay, once again, there's no problem with that in and of itself. Beauty is not the enemy. That's really important to remember. Beauty is an attribute of God. Beauty is not owned by Chanel. It is not owned by Dolce & Gabbana. It is a piece of God. It is how we come to know and experience God. And so with the beauty being an attribute of God, we have to understand that the world, because the world is broken and we're broken people, it's disordered it to an extent where women once again are reduced to parts. Or also we seek our value and our worth in this disordered type of beauty. There's a beauty standard that's out there today that we have willingly accepted that says that we have to be a certain number on the scale. Our hair's got to be super shiny. Teeth have got to be straight. And if you don't look like the girls in the magazine, if you don't look like the girls on Instagram, then you're just not good enough. And so there's a constant feeling of comparison. And we're always comparing ourselves as women to other women, which is not at all what we have been created to do or to be.
And it's not pro-woman.
No, nothing to do with pro-women.
Right.
Absolutely, that's not pro-woman at all.
Be sure to catch part 2 of our sit-down interview with Leah Darrow next week as she opens up on why having a home centered on Christ is key for our culture.
And I think when our kids can see that in our home, I think that that's when things change.
That does it for us for this edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Until next week, you can reach us with questions, ideas, comments at prolifeweekly@ewtn.com. And remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.